Nottingham Forest, transfer earthquake, epic narration script, Verona Part 1, introduction, 2,500 characters. Right then, you beautiful Reds. What's happening at the City Ground right now is absolutely mental, and I'm not throwing that word around lightly. If you thought last season's 7th place finish was just the beginning, you haven't seen anything yet. The Garibaldi are moving like a club possessed, and the transfer window has become our personal playground. We're talking about deals that would make the Big Six sweat, signatures that are sending shockwaves through the Premier League, and moves so bold they're rewriting what it means to be Nottingham Forest in 2025. There's a young England star who's just said goodbye to the Etihad, a record-breaking bid that's got everyone talking, talks with a Brazilian magician who wants out of Turin, and a transfer battle with Spurs that we've absolutely demolished. The Forest faithful know we're witnessing something special, but do you realize just how massive these moves really are? We're not just buying players anymore, we're buying respect, buying fear from our rivals, and buying our way into European elite status. Before I reveal which superstar is heading to Trentside and which Premier League giant we've just humiliated in the transfer market, hit that like button if you're ready for the most insane Forest transfer update you'll hear all summer. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why every football fan in England is suddenly talking about the tricky trees. Let's start with the bomb that's just dropped from Manchester. Part 2, McAtee Manchester City. Deal. 4,500 characters. Picture this scene at the Etihad training ground just 48 hours ago. A 22-year-old midfielder, arguably one of England's brightest young talents, walks into Pep Guardiola's office knowing this conversation will change everything. James McAtee. Remember that name because it's about to become legendary at the City Ground. This isn't just any signing. This is Manchester City's golden boy, their homegrown hero who broke through under the most demanding manager in world football. The Athletic dropped the bombshell first, but the numbers they are throwing around are absolutely staggering. We're talking about a deal worth up to £30 million, with Forest and City agreeing to terms that include something really clever. A buyback clause and sell-on percentage that shows just how highly the citizens rate this lad. But here's what makes this move so incredible and why Forest fans should be buzzing about what we've just pulled off. McAtee isn't leaving City because he's not good enough. He's leaving because he's too good to sit on the bench any longer. Last season alone, he made 34 appearances under Pep, scoring 7 goals from midfield. Those aren't just numbers, they're evidence of a player who can cut it at the very highest level. The England under-21 star was absolutely instrumental in helping his country retain the European Championship this summer, showing he performs when the pressure is at its peak. Now think about what this means for Nuno's system, for our Europa League campaign, for the statement we're making to the football world. McAtee can play anywhere across the midfield. He's got that technical ability that makes defenders panic, and he's proven he can handle the intensity of Premier League football. When Manchester City are willing to insert a buyback clause, you know they believe this player is destined for greatness. The Eintracht Frankfurt interest mentioned in reports just confirms what we already suspected. This signing was never going to fly under the radar. But here's the beautiful thing, and why Forest fans should be celebrating tonight. We've beaten everyone to his signature. Do you realize what kind of message this sends to the rest of the Premier League? We're not just competing anymore, we're winning transfer battles against European giants. The question isn't whether McAtee will improve our squad, it's whether the rest of the league is ready for what Forest are becoming. Le Squads Cav Part 3. Forest beats Tottenham 4,500 characters. Now this is where the story gets absolutely delicious, and if you're a Spurs fan watching this, you might want to look away now. Cause what Forest have just done to Tottenham in the transfer market isn't just business, it's pure psychological warfare. Tottenham Hotspur that Today had their eyes firmly set on James McAtee as the perfect replacement for James Maddison, who suffered that devastating ACL injury during preseason. With Son Heung-min now playing under the California Sun for Los Angeles FC and Dejan Kulusevski also sidelined, Spurs were desperate for attacking reinforcements. Their scouting team had done their homework, identified McAtee as the ideal solution, and Daniel Levy was ready to make his move. But here's where it gets absolutely beautiful for us Forest fans. We didn't just beat Tottenham to the punch, we completely demolished their transfer plans. Fabrizio Romano himself confirmed that while Spurs held talks with Manchester City, Forest had already secured the player's signature and booked his medical. The numbers tell an incredible story of how we've outmaneuvered one of the so-called Big Six. While City were initially asking for £42.5 million back in July, we've managed to secure McAtee for an initial fee of £22 million, rising to £30 million with add-ons. That's not just good business, that's masterclass negotiation from our board. But the psychological impact runs even deeper than these numbers suggest, and this is why Forest fans should be absolutely buzzing about what we've accomplished. This isn't the first time we've left Tottenham licking their wounds this summer. Remember the Morgan Gibbs-White saga? When Spurs triggered his £60 million release clause thinking they had him in the bag, only for us to seek legal action and eventually convince him to sign a lucrative new contract instead. Now we've landed a second blow by snatching McAtee right from under their noses, proving that the days of bigger clubs automatically getting their preferred targets are well and truly over. Thomas Frank will be fuming that his summer transfer plans have been disrupted twice by the same club. And Daniel Levy must be wondering how a team that finished 7th managed to outmaneuver his supposedly superior resources. The beautiful irony is that McAtee was seen as the perfect alternative to Maddison, a player who could operate in multiple positions and provide both quality and depth. Instead, he'll be doing exactly that, just not in North London. Do you understand what kind of statement this makes about where Forest are heading as a football club? Al-Judu, Part 4, McAtee deal confirmation, 4,500 characters. The medical is booked, the contracts are prepared, and James McAtee is about to become a Nottingham Forest player in what represents one of the most significant signings in our recent history. When you strip away all the transfer speculation and social media noise, what we're left with is a deal that fundamentally changes the trajectory of this football club. The Brazilian outlet reporting €35 million. The Athletic claiming £30 million. The exact figures might vary between sources, but the message is crystal clear. Forest are operating at a level that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. This is a player who made his Manchester City debut at just 18 years old, who scored 7 goals in 34 appearances under Pep Guardiola, and who's been capped regularly for England under-21s. We're not talking about potential anymore, we're talking about proven Premier League quality walking through the doors at the City ground. The Manchester City connection adds another layer of intrigue that should have Forest fans absolutely buzzing about what this signing represents. When you consider that Pep Guardiola trusted McAtee enough to give him significant minutes in a squad packed with world-class talent, you begin to understand the caliber of player we're bringing in. The buyback clause and sell-on percentage that City have negotiated aren't signs of desperation. They're evidence of a club that believes this young midfielder is destined for greatness and wants to maintain some connection to his future success. For Forest, accepting these terms shows incredible confidence in our ability to develop McAtee into the player we know he can become. Think about what this means for Nuno Espirito Santo's tactical options as we prepare for our Europa League campaign. McAtee can operate as a traditional number 10, drift wide to create overloads, or sit deeper to dictate the tempo of matches. His technical ability, combined with his experience of playing under intense pressure at City, makes him exactly the type of player who can elevate our performances in European competition. The fact that he chose Forest over other interested parties, including Eintracht Frankfurt, suggests he sees something special happening at the City ground. This isn't a player looking for an easy option or a quick payday. This is an ambitious young footballer who wants to be part of something bigger. When the announcement comes through official channels and you see McAtee holding up that famous red shirt for the first time, remember that this moment represents more than just another signing. It's validation of everything we've built, confirmation that Forest are back where we belong, and a promise of what's still to come. But McAtee isn't the only game-changing move we're making this summer. Par 5, Omari Hutchinson record deal, 4,500 characters. Hold on to your seats, because what I'm about to tell you will blow your mind about the ambition of this Nottingham Forest board. We're not just making signings, we're obliterating transfer records and completely redefining what it means to support the Tricky Trees in 2025. Omari Hutchinson, the name that's got every Forest fan checking their phones every 5 minutes for updates. The Guardian's Ben Fisher broke this story, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. £37 million for a 21-year-old winger who's desperate to return to Premier League football. This wouldn't just be another signing, this would smash our previous record transfer and send a message to every club in Europe that Forest mean business. But here's what makes this potential deal so incredible and why you should be absolutely buzzing about what we're trying to achieve. Hutchinson isn't just any winger. This is a player who was one of Ipswich Town's standout performers even during their relegation campaign. Someone who caught the eye of Everton, Brentford, and now us in what's becoming a fierce bidding war. The fact that his release clause of £35 million has reportedly lapsed gives us the perfect opportunity to structure a deal that works for everyone involved. Chelsea inserted a 25% sell-on clause when they sold him to Ipswich for £20 million, which means they'll profit handsomely from any move. But that's not our concern. Our focus is on securing a player who could transform our attacking options for years to come. What's fascinating about this pursuit is how it fits into the bigger picture of what Forest are building under Nuno Espirito Santo. We've already made Dan Ndoye our record signing at £35 million from Bologna, replacing Anthony Elanga, who moved to Newcastle for £55 million in what represented incredible business for the club. Now we're prepared to eclipse even that fee for Hutchinson, showing that the departure of key players isn't weakening us. It's funding an even more ambitious project. Think about what our attacking lineup could look like with both McAtee and Hutchinson in Forest shirts. The creativity, pace, and technical ability they'd bring to Nuno's system would be absolutely frightening for opposing defenses. Hutchinson's desire to return to Premier League football after Ipswich's relegation shows the level of ambition that matches our own. He's not content to drop down a division, he wants to compete at the highest level possible. The interest from multiple Premier League clubs proves that this isn't a gamble on potential, this is a proven talent that everyone wants. But Forest are showing once again that we're not just competing in these transfer battles, we're winning them. When Kieran McKenna confirmed that Hutchinson had expressed his desire to return to the Premier League, every club in the division should have been alerted to his availability. The fact that we're the ones pushing hardest for his signature tells you everything about our ambition and our ability to attract top talent. Gilles, Part 6, Douglas Luiz talks conclusion, 4,500 characters. If you thought the McAtee and Hutchinson moves were ambitious, wait until you hear about the Brazilian magician we're reportedly trying to bring back to English football. Douglas Luiz, a name that should have every Forest fan dreaming about what our midfield could look like if this move comes off. The reports are coming from multiple sources now, suggesting that Forest have opened talks with Juventus about a potential deal for the 26-year-old who's eager to return to the Premier League after just one season in Serie A. This isn't just any midfielder we're talking about. This is a player who spent 4 successful seasons at Aston Villa, making 175 appearances and establishing himself as one of the most reliable box-to-box players in English football. The Brazilian international brings something completely different to what we already have. A combination of physicality, technical ability, and Premier League experience that could be absolutely perfect for Nuno's system. But here's what makes this potential signing so intriguing and why Forest fans should be cautiously optimistic about what might unfold. Luiz's desire to return to England after his Juventus move hasn't worked out as planned gives us a realistic chance of securing his services. When a player of his caliber becomes available and specifically wants to return to the Premier League, clubs like Forest have to be ready to move quickly and decisively. The fact that we're even being mentioned in connection with players of this profile shows how much our reputation has grown in recent years. What's fascinating is how this potential signing fits alongside our other summer business. McAtee bringing creativity and flair, Hutchinson providing pace and width, and Luiz offering the kind of midfield presence that could tie everything together. This isn't random transfer activity. This is strategic squad building that suggests someone at the club has a very clear vision of how we want to play in our Europa League campaign. The competition we'll be facing in Europe demands this level of investment and ambition. We're not just representing Nottingham Forest anymore. We're representing English football on the continental stage, and that responsibility requires us to operate at a completely different level. Looking at the bigger picture of what we've achieved this summer and what we're still trying to accomplish, it's clear that something special is happening at the City ground. The Europa League qualification after Crystal Palace's appeal was rejected has given us additional revenue streams and global exposure that we're using to attract better players than ever before. Every signing we make, every negotiation we enter, every ambitious move we attempt sends the same message: Forest are back and we're here to stay. Whether it's beating Tottenham to McAtee's signature, preparing to smash transfer records for Hutchinson, or convincing Brazilian internationals to choose the City ground, we're operating like a club that belongs among England's elite. This summer has shown that the days of Forest being grateful for scraps from bigger clubs' tables are well and truly over. We're setting our own table now, and everyone else can decide whether they want to join us or watch from the sidelines. The question isn't whether these signings will improve our squad. It's whether the rest of the Premier League is ready for what the Tricky Trees are becoming. Like this video if you're as excited as I am about what's happening at our beautiful club. Comment below with your predictions for where we'll finish this season, and make sure you subscribe because this transfer window is far from over. Something tells me the biggest announcement is still to come, and you won't want to miss it when it drops. Come on, you Reds!